Hello and welcome to lesson 2 of Snap. Now, today we are going to be learning the fundamental thing that makes Snap so good, and the reason it used to be called Build Your Own Blocks. Last lesson, you might remember that I wrote a quick bit of code to how to draw a square, and I'm just going to put that together now very quickly, and I'm going to show you the magic of Snap. So we're going to grab a when green flag clicked. We are going to tell the screen to clear. We are going to tell our sprite to always start in the same position. We're going to tell it to always point in the same direction. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get to the drawing. So we're going to tell it to put the pen down. At some point, we're going to tell it to put the pen up, but we're not quite sure yet. We're going to go into control and we're going to grab a repeat block. And we're going to tell this to repeat 4 times because we are drawing a square. And then we're going to go into motion. We're going to tell it to move a certain amount of steps. And then we're going to tell it to turn a certain amount of degrees. And boom, we have drawn a square. If I just change this to 90 degrees, of course, then we have drawn a square. Let's see. Okay, a very little square. Let's make this 100. Okay, lovely stuff. So now we have got a square. Great. This is exactly where we were last lesson. So what's changed? What's different? Well, this is the genius of Build Your Own Blocks. Let's jump into the pen section. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And you'll notice down here it says make a block. This is big. This is big. And it might not seem very big at the moment, but it is very big. So big isn't good, right? So I'm going to click on make a block here. And it's going to give me this screen here. Now, this screen will allow me to type in the name of my block. Now, what I'm going to, my block, oh dear, I can't spell. My block is going to essentially allow us to draw a square. So I'm going to call it draw square. And I'm going to use an underscore rather than space because I am a programmer and I just can't stand putting spaces in things. This is going to be a command, so we're going to leave that ticked, and it's going to be for all sprites. That's fine. So I'm going to put it in the pen section because it's to do with drawing. And I'm going to press OK. And it's going to give me this block editor. Okay. Now, we can tell it that in order to draw a square, this is what you need to do. You need to put the pen down. I'm just going to take this code. I could take this code from here and build it up. If I wanted to, I could say pen down, and I could pop them in here into this editor, but I'm just going to drag and drop this code into here. Okay, so I'm going to say to draw a square, you put the pen down, you do this 4 times, you move 100 steps, you turn 90 degrees, then you put the pen up. That's all there is to it. Okay, and I'm going to press OK. And now, rather than all of that code about how to draw a square, that is all stored in this block here. Look, this block is new. Draw square. I just made that. That's there because of me. And now if I press play, it does nothing. It just goes to and points in direction. But I can tell it to draw square. And I can press go, and it will draw a square every time. And now what I could do is I could tell it to, let's say, go to a different position and draw another square. So I'm going to tell it to go to X is 100, Y is minus 100, and I'm going to jump into pen, and I'm going to grab draw square again, and I'm going to get it to draw another square. And I'm going to hit play, and look, it's drawn another square there. But what if I wanted to make the square smaller? At the moment, I can just tell it to draw a square, and it draws a square of a set height and width, but that's not really ideal because sometimes I might want bigger squares and sometimes I might want smaller squares. And so actually, what I could really do with is having a way of telling draw square how big to make the square. And so if I come back down here to where draw square is on the right, or I can do it here in the actual code itself, I can right click on it and I can press edit. Okay. And that will bring back up the block editor. Now you will notice that next to draw square, there are some pluses that I can click on. On the very right hand side of draw square at the top here in the block editor, I'm going to click on this plus and it's going to give me an option to create an input name. And I'm going to call this size. Okay, so we're going to call our input size. It's going to be an input. It's not going to be a title text. And you'll notice a very, very subtle black arrow here. I'm going to press that and that's going to give me, whoa, loads of options, but we don't need to worry too much. All I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it that it's going to be a number. Okay, so we're going to give it a number and I'm going to give it a default value. So it's always, if I don't give it a value, it's just going to be 100. Okay, but then I can change it if I want to. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to press OK. And now in draw square at the top here, we have this little block here, size and then the default is 100. So what I can do is, instead of saying move 100 steps down here, I can say move size steps, and whatever size is, it will move that many steps. And so that will affect the size of our square. Let's press OK, confirm we're happy with those changes. And now you can see draw square has a little circle here. And if I press play, it actually does nothing. But if I put in some numbers here, maybe I'll do 100 there and 10 here, we can see that it draws a big square and then it draws a small square. This is amazing because now we can really customize what we're doing. So what I want to do is I want to draw a series of squares that are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So let's think about this. Let's grab ourselves a loop. We're going to draw maybe, I don't know, 5 squares, okay? And we're going to draw a square 5 times. But instead of drawing it at 100 each time, what we're going to do is we're going to make the size smaller and smaller. So we're going to have to create a variable. So let's jump into variables and let's make a new variable and call it size. It can be for all sprites, that's absolutely fine. And at the start, we're going to set our size to, let's say, 200. And then what we're going to do, we need to tell it size, set size to 200. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say draw square size, whatever size is, size we set to 200. And then once we've drawn our square, we're going to change our size by, let's say, -50. Now when I hit the green flag, we can see that it draws lots of squares, okay, and each getting smaller. In fact, it's not the greatest position. Let's do -100 and y100 just to bring this up a little bit and so that we can see it. There we go. Look at that. It's quite satisfying watching that, right? It just draws those little squares, and you can see they're getting smaller and smaller each time. Now, actually, our size goes down to -50, which is probably not great. I could probably be more thoughtful about this. Maybe if we did 250. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. Okay, so we've got 5 different squares here. Now, what I want is them to be in the middle of each other. I don't want them going into the corner. So what we're also going to do is we're going to think about how we position our little sprite each time. So I'm going to draw my square at 250, this first one, and then I'm going to move it. Okay, so it's gonna end up back here. I want to move it in and down a bit to draw the next square. So I'm going to go up to motion, and I'm going to change the X position, and I'm going to change the Y position. Okay, and I'm going to change them by 25. And I think one of them has to be negative, but maybe not. Let's see that. Okay, so one of them does have to be negative. I'm almost there. So it almost looks like it's all gone wrong. But if I just do this and say change y by -25, there we go. Look at that. I have now, each time I'm going round the loop, I'm telling it to draw a square of the size. I'm changing the size, so making it smaller. And I'm also moving the start position in by 25 each time so that my sprite is drawing the next square inside in the middle of the other square. It's cool, right? So now I've been able to make a really cool like squares within squares pattern here, but using this draw square block. So instead of having all the code that's in draw square, so let's jump into there. Let's press edit. And if I was to take, let's just duplicate this code. If I was to take all of that, let's cancel, and pop this here and that in there, this code is suddenly a lot harder to read. It's a lot more difficult to see what's going on. By taking out this and putting it into its own block called draw square, it's very clear, or it becomes clearer as to what we're doing. And then if we wanted to take it really far, we could then make another block called something like draw square pattern, and we could press OK. And in order to draw a square pattern, what we could do is we could take this whole thing and we could pop it in there. And so this is how, this is how we draw a square pattern. And then I can press OK. And then we could just say draw square pattern. And now it just draws the square pattern for us. All of that stuff with the variables and changing X and changing Y, that's all hidden within here. So now, if I want to see what this does, I can see it clears, it goes to this position, it points in this direction, and then it just draws the square pattern. And if I wanted to see how that worked, I could edit this and I could have a look and I could see, oh, look, this sets the size variable. It does this 5 times. It draws a square, it changes size, it changes X, it changes Y. How do you draw a square? Let's go and let's have a look at that. Oh, look, this is how you draw a square. You put the pen down, you repeat 4, you move size steps. And we can start hiding a lot of the gubbins that goes into make our code to make it a lot easier to understand what's going on. And we can start making these blocks and building these blocks to make things that are actually very, very complicated. And so this is a really good technique to get into because it's a really fundamental programming concept. So there is a worksheet attached to this video, and I would like you to do the same as I've done, okay? But you're going to try it with triangles, and you're also going to try it with circles. Circles is very tough. If you manage to do it with circles, like I've done, circles within circles, kind of in the middle of each other, I will be very impressed. Triangles should be fairly easy. But circles, if you manage to do circles, you're a pro. So well done. Stick with it. Persevere. Okay, this is for you to try and problem solve. This isn't for someone else to do it for you. This is for you to play with, to tinker with, to try out ideas, and just to enjoy it. Okay, it's not the be all and end all if you don't get there. It's about having a go and trying to make it work and doing something kind of interesting. Okay, so have fun, enjoy, and good luck making your triangles and your circles. And I will see you in the next one. Awesome.